12-year-old Renato encounters three crucial events in his life: the declaration of war, the acquisition of a new bicycle, and his first encounter with the stunning and intriguing Malena. While the proclamation of joining the war is taking place, Renato rides his brand new bike to join a group of young men who are waiting for Malena to pass by. The lads decide to sit on the pavement in order to observe her as she walks by. When Malena leaves her home, she exudes a seductive but alluring attractiveness. Her elegance as she moves draws everyone's attention to her attractiveness. She draws Renato's attention as she moves through the group of males who are definitely lusting for her. Malena's father, Professor Bonsignori, one of his pupils, makes lewd comments about the deaf professor's daughter and taunts him. He continues to be uncomfortable while ogling Malena's attractiveness. Renato rides his bike and pedals over to Malena's residence. He imagines the situation that Pino constantly bragging about while seated across the street. He is saved from suffocating in his passions by his vivid imagination. Renato goes to an elderly guy who is a seamstress to get his father's outfit after recalling Pino's words over the short pants. Renato tells a falsehood about utilizing the cloth to make long pants as the elder guy questions him about why he brought the old case. Before his enraged father tosses the trousers at Renato, he is eating with his siblings. After capturing Renato, he continued to pound him on the back and head with his hand. In the dead of night, Renato slips through his wooden window and approaches Malena's residence. He climbs up on a tree branch to watch what's going inside her house. Malena is listening to the radio while sporting a seductive white outfit. Renato makes the decision to get a haircut the next day at a men's salon. He overhears some customers talking about Malena and her husband, Nino. Her spouse is a soldier who has been sent to Africa to fight the British. The men continue to spread rumors about Malena, whom they erroneously assume is having an affair while her husband is away. He peers through his normal location one night and sees Malena stitching her outfit. He can clearly see her large, round globes despite the tiny black dress concealing her deliciously attractive physique. When the light comes up, Renato visits a record shop to buy the same tunes Malena used the day before. Every time Malena leaves her house, Renato follows her. He observes that she has become the talk of the town, drawing admiring glances from men who find her attractive, while women are passing away and speculating about their fears. People tend to pause as Malena moves through a throng because she grabs their attention. Sasa, who is late, shows in with breaking news while the male students engage in some physical activity in a large room. When he brings up Nino's passing, the news spreads like wildfire. Renato is there during a brief military funeral service to announce Nino's terrible but valiant passing. Renato pays a visit to Malena at Professor Bisognor's home after the presentation. He hears her wailing in misery. She is definitely lamenting the loss of her spouse. The rumors persist even after her spouse passed away. Renato does his best to exact revenge on Malena in his small manner as he hears every taunt and disparaging comment made by the crowd. Renato goes to the church to seek for further protection for Malena and makes a candlelighting pledge in return. Renato observes Malena's home to see how she is doing. Malena checks her damp garments that are hanging outside as soon as she steps outside her door. He instantly snatches one of her underpants once Malena walks inside her home and leaves. Renato adjusts his bed to minimize noise. Renato uses his palm to appease him as soon as he notices the aroma of her underwear till exhaustion overcomes him. He resolves to go days without eating in defiance of his father's choice. When the doctor examines Renato, he tells his father he is mentally sick. Professor Bonsignori gets a letter at the school alleging that Malena has damaged his reputation. Sasa, one of his pupils, reads aloud the letter to his classmates to inform them of the development. When Renato visits Malena at night and observes their fraught connection, he learns that she is having an affair with Lieutenant Kade. Kade, however, runs across Dr. Cusimano, a dentist who says he is Malena's fiancé. Unexpectedly, the dentist's wife shows they're together with the troops who witness the two battles in progress. Cusimano's wife files a lawsuit against Malena, accusing her of being the man's lover. Malena is required to establish her innocence as the court calls for her to appear for the trial. Renato observes everything that occurs inside Malena's home while conducting his routine surveillance. Renato witnesses Centrobi paying Malena a visit at her house after her exoneration. Malena was forced into a rape by Center, who did not want the money payment. Several houses are destroyed when a bomb is dropped during an aerial raid a short while later. The locals discover Professor Bonsignori's body. Malena's finances are now precarious. She decides to get into the prostitute industry since she has no other option. Renato observes Salvatore, one of Malena's clients, devouring her body while engaging in his normal stalker antics. The locals are well aware of her current situation, and the ladies are not thrilled that she is a whore. The Germans leave, making room for the Americans to show up. The army entrance is joyfully welcomed by the populace. But the bunch of jealous ladies seizes the occasion to humiliate Malena. She is currently staying at a hotel when the bunch of ladies barges in. To humiliate Malena in front of the audience, they stripped Malena naked and beat her till she was bleeding. While these ladies attempt to dominate Malena, the audience just acts as an audience. Malena is horrified by the experience, and after her awful suffering at the hands of those ladies, she chooses to leave her village. Malena travels by train to reach Messina from Castelcudo. She believes that by escaping, she would be able to forget the embarrassing situation. Nino unexpectedly survives and makes an attempt to find his wife. He admits that he lost his arm as a prisoner in the enemy's lair. Sadly, when he goes back to his residence, he finds that refugees have already moved in. He roams the streets looking for his missing wife in the hopes that someone may know where she could be. Renato follows Nino about like a hound, watching his every move. Renato can relate to Nino's desperate search for Malena. When Nino and other males got into a fight one day, they admitted that Malena had turned into a prostitute. He reports to Nino that he sees Malena traveling to Messina on a train. In addition, Renato speaks of Malena's life while he was away and affirms her loyalty to Nino. He observes Nino as he follows his wife into the train to Messina. The locals eventually see Nino and Malena's return to Castelcuto. Despite Malena's ageless beauty, the gang of ladies who formerly abused her feel less intimidated when they see her in the arms of her husband. The people around Malena start treating her more equitably and respectfully as she wanders the aisles of the businesses. Renato follows Malena home as the film comes to a close. Renato comes to her aid when some fruit spills from her bag. Malena. Renato calls Malena's name and wishes her well before they part ways. Even though Malena is the only woman he will ever love again,